This week's DRM Not Included on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. We all know that you get free shipping on millions of products with Amazon Prime, but you get a whole lot more. Like free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games, and a free Twitch subscription to support the content creator of your choice with Amazon Prime Gaming, plus a whole lot more. We've got links to all of these features and some of our favorites, plus a 30-day free trial, all by going to f5live.tv/prime. So we've talked about TikTok a lot over the years, but there's one aspect that we haven't discussed, and that is the company's, the platform's tendency to promote trends and challenges. Some trends are innocuous, like new dances. Some trends are mostly innocuous, like the cinnamon challenge. Silly, you might dry out your mouth, but generally you're probably going to be fine unless you're allergic to cinnamon, but you probably knew that before the challenge. And then there are things that are actively dangerous. The Tide Pod Challenge, for example, which has led to 10 deaths across the world. One such challenge existed in 2022. It was a little more obvious that it was stupid to hopefully everybody. It was the Blackout Challenge, which encouraged people, particularly young people, to choke themselves until they passed out. Now, most people could look at that and go, "No, thank you. That's really stupid." But when an algorithm continues to push the content into your feed, young people might succumb to the peer pressure. We know kids are known for falling for peer pressure. And so, a number of people, mostly kids, died because of the Blackout Challenge. In particular, there is Nyla Anderson. She was 10 years old. She followed the trend that she encountered on TikTok, choked herself, died. Her mother, Tawana, let's go with that. Probably butchering the name, but let's go with that. Filed suit against TikTok and parent company ByteDance for wrongful death, and a lower court essentially said that the case couldn't go forward because of Section 230. Obviously, her attorneys appealed that decision, as well they should. And the Third Circuit Court of Appeals has partially reversed the decision, saying that the argument that Section 230 doesn't apply when the algorithm is so designed to push certain content is a valid enough argument to be brought to court. So they're going to have to argue, essentially, that Section 230, which is designed to prevent platforms from being held responsible for user-generated content when said content is made readily and publicly available, doesn't apply here because the algorithm has encouraged particular types of content and discouraged others. It's an interesting argument. And I think that argument will almost certainly have to go first before they're even able to argue the wrongful death in order to essentially seat a jury on the actual charges. But it's definitely interesting. I know a lot on Section 230, and I find that 95% of what it's for is accurate. I find that occasionally it's misapplied. Um, and, we've talked. Where's the line between what is a platform and what is a publisher? Um, the law doesn't quite define it accurately enough. I think maybe there needs to be more appropriate wording worked into it. But essentially, that's going to be the argument, right, Avram? That by by having such a strongly curated algorithm that they have let go of their platform status and gone into publisher status. It's an interesting argument.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting because the important thing about Section 230 is that it allows platforms to moderate, right? So, either because I think before Section 230, there is a question about whether you're responsible for everything or nothing on your platform,
Right.
right? Uh, Either you have to let everything go through, uh, or you you're responsible for any bad actions that happen. And
Right.
if you run any kind of user generated content site, whether it's and everybody's running, like if you run a blog and you have comments on the blog,
Right.
then you're
You're there.
running a user generated content, right?
Right.
Tom's Hardware, we have a forum, so
Mm-hmm.
user generated content, right? Now
We
we
have
have
comments.
moderators for our right. So so if somebody puts something bad in one of those comments it and someone wants to sue you for that, whether it's defamation or you know, not sure what doing something that causes someone to to take a dangerous action would fall under. It's not
Inc-
defamation. It's
yeah.
like
Wrongful death,
I don't
probably.
know, wrongful death, but
Somewhere in that
whatever.
category.
So right. So point being, um, it's really hard to have 100% perfect policing
Right.
of these things. You can have moderators, but moderators will make mistakes and things will
Mm-hmm.
slip through. So I think
Because people
Section
are people.
230 is right. I think
To use
I think
the Judeo-Christian terminology, it's a fallen world, right?
right. I mean, things will slip through, right? And so, like, I take our forums for example, right? I think we have some moderators who do a fantastic job. What happened if somebody put something up before the moderator saw it and it was,
Right.
defamatory, or
Right.
it caused someone to inspired someone to commit a crime, or
Right.
maybe in some way it was a crime. Maybe they put up copyrighted image or something like that. So like
Or a link to the piracy website that just got shut down this week, which was the alternate possible topic for this
right,
segment.
right. So there's lots of stuff that could happen. And so a lot of businesses, if they didn't have this safe harbor, would
Right.
would just choose not to have user generated content. It would have a very chilling effect on the internet because there's
Right.
so much stuff that people want and rely on that's user generated content, whether it's Yelp reviews or you know or recommendations on LinkedIn or whatever.
Right.
Like
Right.
the cost and the risk of moderating would be very high.
Right.
And then of course there's always the possibility. I don't know if you can get out of it, but if there's no Section 230, I don't know if you can get out of it by saying we just don't moderate anything. Like, oh well, we're not a moderator because we don't, we're not moderating
Yeah.
anything. People can put whatever horrible thing they want on our site,
Town square open platform.
and we can't take it down because, by the way, every time somebody says that they're for free speech and they change their platform, like Elon Musk on Twitter, they're always full of it. They're always say because there's still
Every society,
tons of moderation and selection.
every culture has norms and practices.
Right.
The
I mean,
most people when they talk about free speech, they're merely talking about enforcing their norms and practices.
right. I mean, I believe Usenet, if people still can use it, Usenet news groups, I don't think those are centrally moderated. Um,
Interesting question. I
but
don't remember. It's been long enough ago.
I mean, I don't know if anyone is still using them, but I don't think those were centrally moderated because they were distributed.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember being on there in like the 90s and having problems where there were people who would like go through, you'd have a forum on like, I remember I was on some news group about like the X Files or something, which was on at the time. And there would be like neo Nazis would come through and start
Mm-hmm.
posting neo Nazi stuff because no one could stop them,
Right.
right? Um, so, I think people want moderation, whether they say it or not. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Because again,
so
every society has norms. There are rules. There are things that are acceptable and things that aren't.
you also couldn't, like, advertisers are very concerned about things being brand safe.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was no moderation whatsoever and all kinds of horrible things being said, you'd have a much harder time attracting advertisers as well. So moderation is really important for business. It's important, but being able to moderate is important for business. Now, what they're talking about here, though, is not really moderation in the sense that we would think of it. They're talking about promotion,
Right.
right?
Promotion and a lack of moderation. So one thing that factors in here is that by the time this girl died, TikTok was fully aware that this challenge existed and that it clearly posed grave harm to the user base. And they
Right,
decided not to moderate it despite the known grave harm to the user base. And instead of moderating it, it managed to get into the picked for you uh, feed
right,
on TikTok and was not just not being moderated away, was being promoted in front of.
right. So
So it's the
yeah,
pairing. It's a
so I
weird pairing of the two.
right. Obviously, if they had taken these posts down, they wouldn't have ended up being promoted in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
right? They wouldn't have been there to be promoted in the first place. So I mean, I wonder, like from my perspective, if they did a poor, what we would consider a poor job of moderating and just didn't take these things down, but they weren't promoted anywhere on the service. I don't know if that should be reason to to undo Section 230.
Right.
But I mean, but if you have a situation where okay, they their algorithm, it doesn't even matter whether a human picked it or the algorithm picked it,
Right.
like it's promoting itself um, to the users, well then I think they are responsible for that,
Right.
which in turn means that they needed to do a better job moderating if they
Right.
can't keep dangerous content out of the promotions unless it's taken down, right? Now
Right. And we can
a,
have
an easy
we can have
yeah,
intelligent discussions among people about what should and shouldn't be moderated, where's the line, but I think pretty much all of us can agree that if this is something that is actively promoting a trend that is actively promoting self-harm, go.
right,
Gone. I don't care what the
right,
platform is.
right, right, right.
Because I think
So
on top of everything else, I think essentially the act of encouraging the self harm, I think that on its own is illegal
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean,
because
I'm not.
it's
I'm not.
promoting violence, right? It's cyberbullying essentially. It's encouraging self harm. I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
I guess.
surprised. A good attorney could make that case, I think.
Yeah, probably so. But I mean, I think that all these platforms would be so much easier if they just only showed you stuff you subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it just wouldn't add up. But what if they just only show like if I follow one person on X, just show me that stuff from that one person and nobody else. You know,
Yeah.
like if they would only show me stuff that was from like whether it was TikTok or Instagram or Facebook
Yeah.
or Twitter, if they would only show me things that were from people that I was or accounts that I was following, then it would be my I don't know
And I'll
responsibility for whom I followed.
and I'll go so far as to say the accounts that I follow and organic third party content. The things that the people I follow have reshared, right?
Right. If they
Tec-
reshared it, yes.
technically third party, but totally organic to the things that I have asked for.
Right. But if they've reshared it, then I think that should count. But
Yeah, that
but
becomes organic third party content. I'm totally
right,
good with that.
it's part of their feed.
Yeah,
But
and it's part of the
but
it's part of the reach of the platform. It's how it works. I get it.
right,
I'm totally good
right,
with it. I could even
right.
I could even have a conversation depending on the platform about whether or not things that the people I follow have liked get affected. I'd have a conversation on it. I don't want
Yeah,
it probably, but I'd be willing to have the conversation. But yeah, past that, like on Facebook, 75% of what I see is not from accounts that I know.
yeah,
Then why have I connected with people that I know? If I'm never going to see their stuff, if I'm only going to see stuff from sometimes people that I truly despise and have blocked on the platform, and yet Facebook continues to show me their stuff.
yeah,
It's awful.
yeah. I mean that's the thing, right? If they but they are promoting things because they want you to see other stuff. So they have to be responsible. I think they have to be responsible for it.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think they're going to make a good argument in here. The fact that they got the argument that TikTok made that they were immune because of Section 230, the fact that the attorneys got that kicked, I think is a great sign for the future of this. I think TikTok ignoring what they knew to be dangerous, and in addition to not moderating thousands of pieces of content all making the same bad encouragement, promoted it to the picked for you or whatever it is. That might just be the project I'm on. That phraseology might be stuck in my head because of the project I'm on. But we'll go with it. The picked for you content. Yeah, they promoted it to people. I think they're way out over their skis on Section 230 protections. So I suspect that this is going to have some lasting repercussions, hopefully in a good way, as it goes on. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.